till I feel it. I'ma smoke it till it's done. I don't really give a fuck, and my excuse is that I'm young and I'm only getting older. Somebody should have told you I'm on one. What's up, fam? What it do? Tranell Casanova here, coming to you live from Tranell's World. And today we're going to talk about trust issues or trust in general. Let me get this down. Let me close this down and cut this off. Okay. That's enough for Drake. Now, y'all, let's get right into this. We're talking about trust today. And trust is a big issue in homes, relationships between friends, family members, countrymen. Everyone has some type of issue with trust because everyone has been betrayed at one point in time. Don't feel like you're the only one. Everyone has gotten done in at one point in time, okay? Now, the Bible has like 40 scripture on trust. And all of them are saying trust God, lean on God, and not for your own understanding, just trust in Him. And I think that's like the first start of trust to me. It begins with trusting God, because when you begin to trust God, God never lets you down. So when you begin to trust Him, you learn to trust yourself, and in trusting yourself, in part, you learn how to trust others. Now, this all works hand in hand. You see what I'm saying? Because if you trust God, you're going to form a relationship with Him that's going to make you feel great about yourself, and then you're going to trust and have confidence in yourself. And then after doing that, God will give you discernment, you can look it up, on who you can trust, okay? You can't just let everybody in your circle just because they're good looking, or because they're funny, or because they have a nice car or house. You have to really pray about your friendships, pray about your organizations, pray about everything that you involve yourself in, because you cannot, and this is just a fact, y'all, you can't trust everybody, okay? Now, and an author is named by the name of Stephen Covey. He said, lack of trust is a problem in society, causing friction in personal relationships, careers, politics, and more. So this is across the board, y'all. Trust is just an important thing to have, on your side. And just before I go, Stephen Covey wrote the book, The Speed of Trust, The One Thing That Changes Everything. That's his book, so if y'all want to cop that, go ahead, by all means. I just read a few excerpts. It's okay, but I just did it as for research for this part of Tranell's World, okay? So, now, what we have here, he said, often trust is described as a feeling, but the definition of trust is all about confidence. It's confidence in yourself, confidence in the person. See, with God, it's easy to trust, because you can put all your confidence in Him, and He's never going to let you down, period. But then yourself, that's when you come in. It's harder to trust yourself, because some of us, like myself, I throw myself in it, we're procrastinators. We don't always do what we say we're going to do, because I know, some of y'all know, I'll say I'm going to a party. And shoot, if my baby says, let's stay in, and I'm feeling like staying in, I'm going to stay in. I don't alert everybody and say I'm not going to the party. So I guess they can almost make me a little bit untrustworthy on the party scene, okay? But if I say to you, I believe in your product, I'm going to invest $10,000 in you, you can for darn sure that I'm going to take the steps that I need to take to make sure you're trusting me, because I want you to know that this is business, and in business, I don't play. This a trusting thing. See, now that's with business, though. But in my personal relationships, I have to be honest that I haven't always been a trustworthy person. And I wouldn't call myself a cheater, but I am very flirtatious. And when I'm in a relationship, now I'm in a relationship, so the flirting goes down to a minimum. But I also have to show the person that I'm in a relationship with that they can trust me. You can trust me to be around whoever in the world, and you can trust that I'm gonna, obey the rules and abide by, the rules, and be a considerate person of my mate's feelings. Okay, now, in a nutshell, trust means confidence. If you have confidence in a person, you can trust them. And then to trust someone when it's easy, to trust someone when you're confident in them. It's just easy. Now the opposite of trusting someone or trust is distrust, which equals suspicion. You're not going to trust someone who you are suspicious of. And this is what I try to explain to some of my coworkers who talk to me about their relationship issues. Some of my sons talk to me and friends. Listen, if you are not ready to be in a relationship, just don't get into a relationship, okay? Because relationship involves trust, honesty, love, loyalty. These are all up there in the same little ball and important things in a relationship. And you need trust. Trust is like almost hand in hand with love and respect, okay? Because if you can't trust the person that you're sleeping with, then all types of things can happen. And we all know this. You can get diseases. You can have other people involved in the relationship. You just don't know what to do. So you cannot put your trust in a person unless you have confidence in them. If you're suspicious of a person, if you're suspicious of a business proposition, then you're not going to trust it, period. So our job as people is to get people to trust us, to be trustworthy people, and to try to just get along with everyone on that level of plain old trust. And like I said, it all starts with God. Once you learn how to trust Him, you can pretty much let everything else flow, because He's not going to see you wrong in any kind of way, okay? Now, and here it says, I don't trust those I'm suspicious of about their agenda, motives, or integrity. If you're suspicious about what they have in store for you, or you're suspicious about what they may do when you're not around, because integrity is doing the right thing even when no one's looking. And motives, that's when you have like ulterior motives, like why are you really trying to get me to trust you? Are you trying to get me to trust you so that I can put my guards down and then you can go off and do whatever you want to me? That's just not fair. We can't be that way. We have to show people that we are, we can be trusted. Trust is a big deal. Now, in the book, they're outlined on different types of trust. You have self-trust, you have relationship trust, organizational trust, market trust, and societal trust. Now, self-trust is trust yourself that you give you have to trust yourself so that you can give other people someone that they can trust. And see what I'm saying? Now, that goes back with God. Now, if you trust yourself and you trust God, then everyone will look upon you as a trustworthy person, because your word is your bond. If you stand by your word, you stand by your word. Like this weekend, I'm doing a scavenger hunt. All right. Now, this weekend, I don't show up at the park. No one is going to come to another event done by Tranell's World, because they're going to consider me an untrustworthy person. There's no way we're going to go to another event that she's had, because she let us down on the first one. And it's so easy to lose trust, y'all. It's like it takes a period of time to gain it, because that's fair, because you can't just trust everybody off the top. But it takes a second to lose it. So trust is what I like to think of as a valuable thing, especially in a relationship. You don't want to break it up or any of that. Now, I did this little example of trust, y'all. I keep a notebook, a journal, because I like to write. I'm on Jim Rohn now, y'all. Check him out too. But listen, trust. This sheet of paper, this represents trust. And we're going to write trust on this sheet of paper. Boom. Trust. Now, what I'm going to do is ball this sheet of paper up. So you cheated, you lied on your taxes, you lied to your business partner, said you make more money than you made so you'd invest more. You lied to your mom saying that you weren't going to wreck her car, but you wrecked it. You wrecked it anyway. Now, I can do this to this sheet of paper. This is trust. You see what I'm saying? And then you've done all of that in those relationships. Lie after lie after lie destroys trust. You see this? This paper is back to its original size almost. But if there's a lot of little crease, this paper will never be back to the same form that I started out with. I don't care how, I can iron it. And you're still going to see little creases, because those creases represent the mistrust that people will now have in you, because you've lied. You're not trustworthy. They can't trust you. You see, and now this paper will never be the same. And that's why I tell people in relationships, if you've destroyed the trust I used to say get out the relationship, y'all. Because trust is one of those things I feel like if you destroy it in a relationship, then you may as well leave the relationship, because you can't be with a person every moment of every day. And if you don't trust him enough to go to the store, then no, that's not going to work. If you don't trust him enough to go to a dinner with friends without, betraying your trust, that's not going to work. You're going to have to learn to trust and be a more trustworthy person. That's what life is kind of about. You got to learn how to allow people to depend on you, and then you have to learn how to depend on people with a certain amount of trust, and we'll all evolve kind of nicely, you see. But everyone doesn't abide by the rules. Now, relationship trust: behave in ways that will build trust and avoid behaviors that deplete trust. Okay, that's simple, right? If your lady or your man or your mate wants to go out, then you should be in a position in your relationship where you trust them to go out without you. You've done everything the right way, and they trust you enough to go out and be on your best behavior. Period. And then that's the type of trust you want in your relationship. You don't want a relationship where as soon as you get there, in 5 minutes she or he is calling you. That's not a good relationship. That's someone who doesn't trust you. Now, it's okay for you to get to that place where you're going and say, hey, baby, I made it to where I'm going to be. And, that's called like just checking in. And that's a respect thing. And that's not being whipped. That's being respectful to your relationship. Because when you leave these people, you have to come home to your mate. Okay? And you want her or he to be happy as anything in the world when you get home. Because you're going to want somebody to lay up with. And if you've been, if they feel like you can't be trusted, you're going to come home to an attitude. Or if they feel like they've been disrespected, you're not going to have a good evening, a good rest of your evening. Okay? Now, organizational trust. That's building a culture of trust in a company, working as teams. We all do this, and we all have to carry our weight. And I work with a company where we all have to work as a team. But if one person messes up or is not showing integrity in how they do their job, it's kind of like a trickle-down effect. You see what I'm saying? So you have to trust those that you work with too. You have to trust yourself. You have to trust those you're in a relationship with, close relationships, and you have to trust those that you work with, because you're working as a team. There's no I in team. You can't do it all alone. I've never heard of a rich hermit. You're gonna have to get out there and meet and greet and learn how to trust people. And I know that makes some people shiver in their boots, but you're gonna have to learn how to trust people. That's just something we're gonna have to do as a person. And being half human myself, I have to learn, and I have learned to trust people. And sometimes, y'all, I can be a bit naive. I used to think, well, if they're gay, they can be trusted. That got scratched out real quick, because that was the first ones that did me in. You know what I'm saying? I used to think that if they're in my family, they can be trusted. No, family would take you down there too. You have to trust God enough to know that He's not going to lead you down the wrong path, and pray about these people that you're trying to put your trust in. They're just associates, fine. You just talk to them, in passing or whatever you need to talk to them about. But if these are people you want to build a relationship of any sort with, you're going to have to learn how to trust them. Period, point blank, okay? And then we have market trust. Then that's the rapport you build with your customers. I know about this too because I own my own shop. Now, if I say that I'm open at 5 a.m., I need to be there at 5 a.m., door open, cookies ready to serve, or my product ready for you to get. You see what I'm saying? But if I say I'm open at 5 a.m. and customers, I get there at 7, got customers in line waiting, they're looking at me shaking their head like, You see what I'm saying? You don't want that. You want to build a rapport with your customers that'll make them come back. They don't want to think that you can't be trusted. You don't want them to think that about you, okay? Now, societal trust. You operate in society through the relationships mentioned above. Now, societal trust is trusting everybody to play their role. Trusting, yourself, trusting your relationships, trusting your employees or employers, and your customers trusting you. This all works together, and it's called societal trust. That's when you have all of your ducks in a row and you can trust everything that's going on to be true. You see, in That's only if the above, when self-trust, relationship trust, organizational trust, market trust, all are together. You're on one accord. You can't trust everybody, but you have to trust somebody, y'all. You got to. You can't do this thing alone. Now, like I was saying before, I used to say trust can be restored. Once your relationship has damaged its trust factor, leave. I used to be a firm believer in that, and to some extent, I think if you've done too much, I still think you should. But, you don't have to if you feel like it's worth it. If you feel like this person is for you or this relationship is for you and you need this relationship to survive, then go for what you know. Try to restore the trust. But remember, restoring trust takes time and it's not easy. Because the person who destroyed the trust has to do everything in their power to get the trust back. You see what I'm saying? Then the person whose trust has been pretty much destroyed by the individual, they have to work really hard too to try to forgive the person and to see the person as trustworthy again. And that's hard when someone has done you in, especially if they've cheated or lied on you or talked about you behind your back. These are things to recover from, that are hard to recover from, because you really don't know, if you can really trust this person again, But rebuilding trust, when you are rebuilding trust, remember this. And remember I said this. Actions speak louder than words. You can say, baby, I love you. I'll never do it again. Baby, I can't believe that I did this to you. It won't happen ever, ever, ever. But if you don't show it, and it takes time, y'all, to show this. Please believe me, I know. It takes time to show that you're ready to be trusted again. You're trustworthy now. You're ready to rebuild it and get this thing going. But just like this sheet of paper, even though this person learns to trust you again and may even forgive you of everything that you've done, there's still going to be something about the way that things went down, the mistrust or the act that you did that caused the trust to be destroyed. It's always going to be there. And you can, and the best thing that I can say about that is pray about it. Pray that the person won't be as hard on you as they could be or should be. Or pray that the person forgives you entirely and learns to trust you again, at least 90%. Because if you're down at about 50% of trust in a relationship, it's not going to work, fam. It's just not going to work. Now, whew. Yeah, and another thing that the author said, Kobe, he said, you can't talk yourself out of a problem that you behaved yourself into. It's just not going to happen. You have to show. Words are just words. You know what I'm saying? I say I love you to my mate all the time. You know what I'm saying? But I like to go even harder when I'm trying to show her or prove to her that is love. You know what I'm saying? Or that I just, because I know how some people are, I like to make sure you trust me and just let you know that you can trust me. I'm here. And, if we paying half on the bills, I'm going to have my half. If not, I'm going to let you know what I'm going to do, until I get my half. That's just how it goes. You have to, communication is key with this trust thing. You see, it goes hand in hand. You see, you have to respect the person, know how to communicate with the person, love the person, and be honest with the person, period. Then the trust will kind of just flow, you know what I'm saying? And once you gain trust, y'all, it's a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful thing to explore with your mates, your family, and your friends, and your co-workers and customers and whoever you interact with daily. It's important to let them know that you trust them or you can be trusted. More importantly, that you can be trusted, because you want to be known as a trustworthy individual. You don't want to be someone who always lets people down, just can't be dependable, and you just want to be the type of person that God has made us to be. He made us in His image, you see. And so since all of our people around us are made in God's image, we should be able to trust them like we trust God, but only if they follow God. You see what I'm saying? And God is going to let you know who follows Him, period. And so then you have no worries. You have to start at the top first. And God is number one. He's always on top. And then yourself. You have to deal with yourself, because if you don't work on yourself, then you may as well forget about working with other people, because it just won't work, okay? So that's my deal on trust, y'all. And the reason I'm talking about it is because I know a lot of relationships. I have a few friends, they just find it hard to trust their mate after they've cheated. Find it hard to trust their mate after they've seen a text in the phone. Find it hard to trust their mate after they've snooped through emails and inboxes and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? But my whole thing is to try to help. To try to help people improve relationships with everyone across the board, because it's not just about you and your mate. It's not just about you and your customers, you and your family. It's not even just about you and God. But that's where it has to start. It has to start with you seeking God and trusting Him. Then you'll see that you'll learn to trust yourself, and then you'll be able to trust others. Simple as that. And then you'll have complete and good, healthy societal trust. Everything is flowing, because you know who you can trust, you know who you can't trust, and you know who you want to trust, and you know what you're going to have to do to get the trust of others. You see, you have to just prove yourself trustworthy. Okay? Now, that's pretty much my session on trust. I thank y'all for listening to me, and cheers to trust. Okay? 2K13, let's get the trust up. Let's be more honest with ourselves, honest with God, honest with people, and then we can just go from there. Until then, love yourself, love one another, above all, love God. Peace and knowledge. Y'all some good people. Cheers.